I would like to request Ashokda to speak a little about the session.
It's a personal privilege to introduce Chitranda. I know him only for last 4 hours now, personally, but through his writings, I know him from last 7 years. Chittaranjan Da started off from a remote village in the district of Cuttack. And because of his brilliance, he moved into the city of Cuttack from his village of Bhagalpur. Thereafter, he pursued his studies in a famous school about which I had heard when I was very young, and I was jealous of that school because it kept on producing scholars and eminent people, including Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. That is how I came to know about that school. After having studied there during the wave of freedom movement of 42, he was swept away with the freedom movement. He was jailed for a couple of years, and thereafter, when he came out, he decided that he would go and seek his own education, which will not have any legacy of the British. And at that point of time, it was Shanti Niketan, Vishwa Bharati, what is known as Vishwa Bharati now, and there he studied for 5 years. After having studied for 5 years, he decided to move on. A brilliant person. He was already a scholar in psychology, Odia, music, and sociology, and psychology as well. He was awarded a scholarship and he moved over to Denmark, where he studied for 4 years. And after having studied for 4 years, he came back to India. When he came back to India, he was determined not to take up a job. He wanted a free India to become really politically, socially, economically, and probably philosophically independent. He started off in the field of education because that was his impression at that point of time. Later on became a determination that only through education can India change. And he started a school in a remote tribal area. And from there, he kept on corresponding with the literary Odisha, namely through letters, through publications, and articles in the newspapers. Eventually, he became an educationist, and I'm not very sure about what all degrees he had acquired by then, but he was picked up to be a professor in Agra. He went to Agra as a professor of sociology in Grameen University. After spending 16 years, he came back to Cuttack and settled down in opening number of schools. And his biggest contribution to mankind and to his own state has been he introduced integral education as we understand in Auroville. In addition to this, he also took on at that stage He was writing already editorial for newspapers. His articles would be published regularly in various newspapers in Odia. Although he was fluent in various languages like German, Russian, Danish, Finnish, but he preferred his own language, mother tongue, Odia. And then a phase came when he started writing books on education, and a very interesting book is already within Auroville, Letters from the Forest School, which is so beautifully set out, containing integral education. And also, he at that point of time started translating Sri Aurobindo and Mother, and he has translated from English into Odia, Life Divine,
Synthesis,
Synthesis of Yoga,
Human Cycle.
Human Psychology, Cycle, and also the 17 books of Mother's Agenda. Now, once again, it's a great privilege for all of us and for me personally to have him amongst us. Now, I do not know what form of interaction we are going to have, but I will leave it to you.
He himself has written 22 volumes of his autobiography. And whatever that we say, it will be never complete. And he has a lot of dimensions. We can see only maybe a tip of the iceberg with our words that we are expressing. Just one instance I remember, I could add with his permission. If I am wrong, he could correct me. Mother gave him the work of translating Life Divine with her blessings. And she said, you can take 10 years. And he completed in 2 years. And on the eve of opening, inauguration of that translated book, there was a gathering of inspired people. Many things happened, but when he was asked to say, he said, by this translation, I found Sri Aurobindo as my friend. It could be pondered, reflected upon what it is. I would conclude my talk here. We have many things to talk about. I requested him to address a little bit in the beginning. And as you know, we have announced it as gathering, not meeting, because I know that he likes more dialogues than speeches. So I would request a representative of a school tell about their school, why they started, how it was started, how it is now. From there we will move on. Is it okay? Yes.
Welcome to you, sir. And I am in Auroville from 1969 onwards. And we started a small school in Kuilapalayam village. Kuilapalayam is a small village in the rural area of Veluppuram district in Auroville area. And first we started the evening school, where the children will come after their class hours, and then we will have sports, cultural activities, and things like that. And that is regarding the outreach program.
So I started a need-based school for the young children of the workers of Auroville, and that slowly grew into an evening school for the workers of Auroville. Maybe it's the oldest school in Auroville. I started the school, I still continue to be the learner, manager, and project holder and researcher. Students who studied in this experimental school or a prototype school are now project holders, managers, teachers, and entrepreneurs in Auroville. So I have good number of successful candidates who help in the management of Auroville and village development affairs. We still go strong in studying the roots, culture, heritage of the local villagers, Tamil language, and we are publishing many books. Thank you.
So I work still in a school which is called Last School. It was the first school in Auroville itself, and the mother called it the last one, Last School. And it's a school where we create the curriculum according to the needs of the students, according to the needs of their development. We do it with them. And Sri Aurobindo is very much at the center of that school. That gives us that supports the whole school. And whatever knowledge we can have is nourished by that. And we think that when we can put in relation the students and Sri Aurobindo, the essential of our work is done. Because after they will develop their own thing according to their own way.
I was born here, and still I'm in a school. So we continue studying with children. We have Tamil children coming to Auroville schools, where the experiments done by different people in Auroville kind of shared through one of the schools where we work. So it's an experimental school again, and people try to bring in the different aspects of integral aspects of education in the school. And village children are happy to come there. That's what I can say. So,
This is the way I really wanted that the gathering should start the discussions. A teacher never believes in delivering lectures or listening to lectures. As the sister very accurately said, education is an experiment. It was very significant that she said that. But she should also now say, an experiment, if it is really an experiment, has no end. I think we all agree. In that way, a teacher is never satisfied with what he has achieved. He sees beyond things. This method really I wanted that we should follow, so that I can be provoked to ask you questions. Then a discussion can warm up. Mother once said about the ashram, long before the Auroville was started, the ashram is an experiment, is a laboratory for the future society. Friends, all of you can give a reply. Auroville is an experiment. Please, we shall all develop a dialogue among us, that's all. Never come to a conclusion. Go on thinking further about things. I'm sorry that due to my age, I have to sit nearer to the air. Otherwise, I could sit just amongst you. Please, can we also say in the same vein that Auroville also is an experiment? I just want to know things, but can you explain why Mother said that about the ashram? A laboratory for the future society. Is there any end to what the future ought to be? No. Future goes on extending itself. Then the laboratory also continues. Do you also agree with that about Auroville? Am I audible? Yes, sir. Please.
Experiment has to have two groups,
Oh dear.
one control group certain requirements for experiments. One control group and then another not control group. I think it is lacking somewhere.
Mother said very definitely that Sri Aurobindo Ashram was an experiment for the future society. What is this experiment for? She has made it so clear, one can understand things.
No, in total I am
Please.
in general, when we say talk of experiment, whether for future or past, present, it says, talks about two groups, one control group and another open group.
But
Let us say the open group is the society outside and the control group is within the framework of the ashram.
what is the frame of reference of that experiment called Auroville? I just want to know really. Last time when I came here, please believe there is not a single tree here. Long, long back. The Bharat Bhavan was just starting to be built. Therefore, I really was surprised when I saw this morning that Auroville is a living forest. Forest that really speaks, goes on speaking to people. What is it, what the experiment for? Is it also for future society?
Yes.
I am simply thinking loudly. I do not have set conclusions for me.
Because we are going through the experiment every day, experience every day. Maybe it's too much in this atmosphere, very difficult to put it in words. Every day is challenging. I am here 33 years, but not a single day is boring. Every day is very refreshing, rewarding, so which I did not get before in outside world in my university education. So I find the very place, the like-minded people and the goal in front of us make us fresh every day. Looking for next morning. I'm not at all tired of the day. So I get rejuvenated every day. Maybe the forest around, also the special people around.
But I protest that only a few friends are opening their mouths. An experiment is living only when all the people are active participants, isn't it?
Yes. Everybody should
Just think that I am an outsider. My first reaction is really this. I am not unpleasant, I am one with you. Only a very few mouths are opening. That is typical conservative Indian attitude.
We are warming up.
You are not Indian in that. Sister, you are not Indian in that. Future society, when she said that, did she confine herself to ashram only?
I would like to share some experience I had with the work of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, especially for handicapped children, but also for vocational trainings. During these years, about 14 years, which I was working for the Swiss government, I had about 5,000 students, and none of the students missed his exams at the end. So the only thing why that happened, and in no other class it happened, it was that when we started the classes in the beginning, I was always sitting in the back side of the classroom until the students came and asked, who is the teacher, we want to learn something. And then I tried to explain to them, that's not my classroom, it's your classroom. And if you want to learn something, you have to do something about it. And you have to start asking questions, finding out things about life. And so we continued for 3 or 4 years. And at the end, the students had this idea about life that they can only learn if they take their own initiative and go for their own learning.
That you are from Switzerland. Which part of Switzerland? French, Italian, or German?
German.
Eh?
German.
Wonderful. Kennen Sie Kinderdorf Pestalozzi? Über Zurich?
Yes.
I have been teaching there for about 2 months. It is a school which was started by a poet after the Second World War, collecting orphans from all the countries of the world, including Korea, Italy, Morocco, India, Tibet, Germany. Now it has 18 houses belonging to each of the language groups. But friend, you have provoked me very much. Very much. Thank you. If this is the commitment as a teacher, now I come to your part of the discussion. If as teachers we are committed to what you said, please let us, more of us, participate actively. What is the first thing we must do? Unless you have read, studied the books that Mother and Sri Aurobindo has written. Everywhere, in all countries, in all schools, people say that they must know their student. How many teachers really know their student? Most of them know the students as a group only, a mass, as a group, as a crowd. Go on throwing disciplines at them, never care for the individual child. At least in this country, is it not very necessary that we must go through what Sri Aurobindo has and the Mother have written in their books? Sri Aurobindo's works are 31 volumes. Mother 17 volumes. If you could allow me, I could have asked that question. How many of us have read any of his book from the beginning to the end? Please excuse me if I sound very unpolite.
We live in a society where children are kind of part of our living system. So in one way or other, we are given feedback about kids, and we know the children up to a level that we can send them away because they are too rude in the class and they cannot be controlled. So that much we know our children. Do you understand what I mean? I'm sorry, I want to be a little sarcastic, that we know our children very well in such a way that we can learn with them. And sometimes we feel that, okay, it's very difficult, that, hey, please stay away. Isn't that enough?
But friend, there are many techniques of knowing. What technique you have really opted to know your students depends on how you have prepared yourself as a teacher. And in Auroville, can you really do your job as a teacher if you do not happen to go through any book written by Sri Aurobindo and the Mother? For example, Human Cycle. I have translated it. I have discussed it in so many. We have a working group, twice meeting, for 2-3 times. It has nothing to do with what we know by religion. It is a social analysis, isn't it? I don't know if you have really happened to look at that book. How can you know what is your technique of knowing the approach of knowing the students? Every school also knows its students in its own way, isn't it? I presume that our job, if we really are for Auroville or for any special school, should be the techniques we have started. In Nazi Germany, Hitler also had a technique of knowing the students. Just try to read what dirty sentences he has uttered about the young people. Therefore, everybody says, we know the students.
Is Auroville the experimental place? What I feel, if you want to make a place experimental, let us call it as a lab, I don't think that we can actually build a complete lab and enter into the lab with our students. So what I want to say is, being here as a local, born in one of the villages, looking at people, understanding the need for education, or at least a community like Auroville, we feel that the lab is getting better and better in its shape. And I feel that when a lab itself is kind of getting formed, and it has its impact on its citizens or impact on the people around it as well as within it. So I feel that lab is getting better and better. Therefore, whatever product is coming out of the lab supposed to be, cope up with its development. Therefore, we can call it as a continuous experiment. Because the lab is getting better. Lab is getting more organized.
But at least one or two of their major books from the beginning to the end. I don't think that you must do it, but we can think about it. Please.
The instruction regarding beginning to teach students from the near to the far, to teach students from the near to the far. Sri Aurobindo said that in one of his books. So if you want to teach them from where they are now to where they should be, you must listen to them carefully to see where they are actually now.
What is near and what is far for you?
No, not for me. Not for me. For the student. For where is the student now?
For me, it may be different. For the friend, that may be still different.
No, I think where is far?
What is near here in India?
Yeah, but Professor.
What is near here in India?
Professor Chidranjan Das, we have different views of what is far. The scientist wants the student to achieve something scientific. The traditional Indian teacher of classical dance wants the student to achieve classical dance. But the question is not what we want the student to achieve. What should that student do? What is the potential of that student? That's the question.
Should I become more pointed in my asking you? What is near, psychic or the body? Please, come up. Don't think. Don't have second thoughts. What that point?
What is near is also far.
You must know more about India in order to understand this. And I can, if you were together, both of us, I can find out from Yoga Samandaya, Synthesis Yoga, what she has written about that. What is near? What is the first duty of every yogi? Therefore, I think that is the most essential thing. We must have an idea of what they have thought and written, wanted the world to be like, in order that we may choose, we may start from near and go to far. I think I am clear. What is near? What is near to an American child? Is it the same as what is near to a Chinese child? What is near to the German child is far different from what is near to a Scandinavian child. That has been my world, Scandinavia. It's so different.
We have 16 different nationalities in one school.
Anyway, there must be personal differences. And here for the ashram and for Auroville, my suggestion was that you must start from what they have written and said about things. That was everything. Without having no knowledge about that, how can you go from far to near? No, near to far. If we meet together, I can show you from Synthesis of Yoga. He praises Europe, also including USA, that Europe has started with the first things, the nearest things. India has missed it. I can show you pages that we can meet together sometime in a small group without knowing that about what he has written. How can you presume things? Or with mother. He says every consciousness is identification. Very dangerous things, isn't it? With how many people in the world we identify. But still we go on saying that we are conscious. Political leaders are always conscious here in this country, isn't it? I think, excuse me, in your country also, very conscious. So much sure about what they are talking about. Killing people in the name of their self-sureness. Who cares? A teacher has to care for his children, isn't it? He must not impose things on the children. Did I irritate you, sir? No. Let us have a dialogue, that's all. That's the very first thing I mark when I go to the West. No dialogue in India, only dialogue in the West. We sit till morning hours discussing things. And here all of us are silent, always on the receiving side, never on the giving side.
Somebody is ready.
That is inhuman. People who want to also take in, never. In psychology, it is a very bad neurotic symptom. People who only want to take in, never want to give to others. Love is giving, never swallowing, isn't it?
From what I understand, there is no perfect teacher. Because whatever we observe of our children, and we can observe best by giving them maximum freedom. The more freedom we give them, the more we understand them. But even that understanding is limited to our personal development. And to be a perfect teacher, I think you have to be a yogi. Otherwise, we try our best. And I think that's what we are trying to do here.
Sister, you really contribute to my point. Go to his books in Life Divine.
I have read his books.
Wait 1 minute. He says there is no perfection. I really give his very words. There is only perfectibility. Perfection, when you say about perfection, you are really deceiving yourself. Hitler said that he was perfect, isn't it? George William Bush thought that he was perfect. A sane teacher will never say that he is perfect. Dictators think always that they are perfect. And in education, they should be